Hi, this is Dan at DH Squared, and today I'm going to be showing you how to extend the amount of wire that you have between your plug and your first light on your set of Christmas lights. This method can also be used to extend the distance between your last light and the female plug that's on the other end of the set. So we're basically going to be doing a wire splice. We're going to be splicing in a length of wire in between. It's not always easy, or it still doesn't always get you what you want by putting an extension cord in between these light sets, and that becomes difficult. But you might have a section where you don't want to have lights, but you still need to get the electricity over to the next section where you want to have the lights. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, in a past video, I showed you how to shorten your light set by cutting the wires and terminating a light set. I'll have that linked up above. But this video, I'm going to show you how to lengthen, or you could even shorten the distance between the plug and the light, the first light. So we're just going to do a simple wire splice. We're either going to be taking wire out of this system, or we're going to be adding wire into it. First thing you want to make sure is that it is unplugged when you do this. You do not want to do this when it's powered up. And I want you to be aware that this does void your warranty. It does void any safety certifications that these products have, UL or other third-party safety certifications. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's lengthen this wire. The first thing that you will need to do is cut the wires. The next thing will be to strip these back. So let's strip these back, maybe a 1/2 inch or so. We'll go ahead and strip back on both ends that we just cut. So these are not polarized wires, which means it doesn't matter which one is your hot and which one is your neutral. So it really don't matter which order I connect these back up to the existing. Unlike a lot of conventional extension cords and so on, one is specifically a neutral and one is specifically a hot wire. And the reason we know that is because both of these plugs are the same size. Typically, if a plug has a larger slot on one side than the other, the larger slot is the neutral and the smaller slot is the hot wire. But in this case, it doesn't appear to matter. So we're not going to worry about that. So now that we cut our wire and stripped both ends off, we're going to get our extension wire, and let's just say we want to add a foot or so. Whoops, sorry about that. I'm using speaker wire. In this case, it's 16 gauge, which is plenty big for this task. The current running through this wiring is much lower than what you would need 16 gauge wire for, but better safe than sorry, and this is what I had laying around. So you could very easily be using 18 gauge or even a little smaller. And if you don't know the gauge, the bigger the number, the smaller the wire. So I'm going to take my piece that I cut off and strip those back on both ends of it. Okay, pull these back a little ways. I'm going to get some shrink tubing. cut some sections of shrink tubing here. I'll do that for now. So I'm going to take my first wire, I'm going to connect it up to my extension wire, and I'm going to twist them together. Oops, I'm sorry. I need to slip the shrink tubing on first. So now that I got the shrink tubing on, I can proceed to twist the wires together. So one of the green wires is getting connected to one of the white wires, like that. So now that it's twisted, I'm going to solder that together. I apologize if this doesn't show up really well on the video, but I'll explain what I'm doing. I'm just doing a simple solder connection of these wires. Once it's soldered, I'm going to slide the shrink tubing down over that, and I'll heat that up. Be careful you don't melt the insulation. So there's the one connection. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Oops, let's put the shrink tubing on. I almost made that mistake again. Let's slide that on. Let's twist these together. And solder it. Okay. Now we got that soldered. Be careful, it's hot, but you want to be careful not to burn yourself. Let's slide that shrink tubing on and heat that up. And there's your first connection. So that's coming from the plug onto the extension wire. We're going to repeat this process with the two wires on the light string that we cut off. Slide the shrink tubing on. Twist the wires together. And solder it. Doesn't take a whole lot. And then we'll slide the, shrink tubing on. I may have damaged that shrink tubing, but I think it'll be just fine. At least for demonstration purposes. So there's the first piece. I need another piece of shrink tubing, one more. I'll slide this on to the wire. Connect these wires together. And solder them together. Once they're soldered together, pull the shrink tubing down over that. The shrink tubing's almost a little bit too small. It's a little snug before even shrinking it. And let's heat that one up. So now we have that done. So if we look at this, we can see we got the plug. We come down to this connection here. The white portion is the amount of length we needed to add. And then here we come to the first light. Now, like I said, we could have very well just cut a section of it out and just connect the two pieces of green together to have, you know, maybe a short distance, say from here to here until the plug starts. So, but in this case, I wanted to show how to add a piece into the system. And as you can see, our lights are working and we have that extra piece added in. Again, we could have added this on to the other end of the wiring. That would have been perfectly fine to do that also, or shorten the other end, or shorten both ends, lengthen both ends, and so on. So hopefully this video helped you out on how to adjust your Christmas lights. I appreciate you watching. Please give me a like and a thumbs up and leave me a comment if you don't mind. And I'll continue to make videos that I hope you will find useful. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.